Welcome to the Daily Grind. I'm one half of the team. I'm Mark. Got Luke with me. What's going on, man?
Not much, brother. I'm good. The sun is shining. Yeah,
Just
it's a
my
lovely
dog
day.
is in here with me. You can barely see her. She's right over here.
Oh, yeah.
She's a cute little dog. Anyway, yeah, the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. 63 degrees here in Memphis. That's just taste of springtime. I was out and about. I was running out. Did a run outside today. Went to some shopping. Got myself some Firehouse subs, underrated as we were talking about.
So good.
Yeah, man, it's a good day. It's a good day in Memphis. Other than the Grizzlies loss, which is what this show is about. So, I guess
fine.
We can just talk about the weather if you guys want. If it's easier and or better.
It's like today the wind blew in a northeasterly direction.
It is a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day in the city of Memphis, other than the fact that the Grizzlies lost last night. So we're going to talk about that on the show today. We're going to talk about the Grizzlies doing some business this morning before we came on the air, as well as what we might like from the Detroit Pistons. As you guys know, we are doing a trade segment with different teams, different trades throughout the week and next week up until the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a trade that you like or may want to see or you see as a rumor mill, tag us in it. We will talk about it. Today we're talking about what we want for the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
And so that will be interesting last segment as well. So we'll save some time for that because it usually goes a little longer. So let's talk about this Grizzlies game last night. Your thoughts, Luke?
Well, to put it nicely, we were out rebounded. And I think
by one person,
by single man. We talked about it yesterday. We were like, who's it gonna be that out rebounds them? And it turns out nobody. No. I don't know if I think at one. I mean, he did have more rebounds than our whole team. Maybe I don't know. Do I want to give him
looking at the box score? He had Demonis said 26 rebounds. The Grizzlies team had 37, so it didn't have more rebounds than the Grizzlies total, but close.
I mean, it sucks too because it was a game. I felt like it was a ball game till the fourth. Like I was watching, and me and my lady, we were just like, "Oh my god, these guys are hanging in there." Like Hurt got signed to yesterday, and was like
he got signed 2 hours before the game.
The game.
I don't know if anybody watched the post game show last night, but yeah, Daniel and Nate were right. I mean, he was like going through like his own shoot around for the Hustle because the Hustle had a game last night as well. He was going through his own shoot around, and they're like, "Hey, bro, you got to like
get out."
Because we said we were actually wrong on the show yesterday. We said you had to have 7 active players as league minimum. We were wrong. It's 8, and so they had 7 players. And Matthew Hurt was the guy. They're like, "Hey, you got to," because it was either that or they forfeit the game. So they did not have a choice in bringing Matthew Hurt over. They had to get it. But yeah, he was already going through his own shoot around. And they were like, "Hey, man, stop that shit and come play over at this other arena down the road.
Drive up the interstate, please."
I mean, I never seen anything like it. That injury report was insane. Honestly,
wild, man. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
I don't think I can remember the last time a team was like on the edge of forfeiting a game because of how many active players they didn't have. I don't know if I can remember that.
It's never like serious. People joke about it like, "Oh, we're so injured. Can we actually field the full team?" People always joke about it, but it's never real. And, people never have this many people hurt. They just don't.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, look, I thought the game was It was winnable. A good game. I mean, it's a winnable game, and we talked on this show yesterday. We did not think it was going to be a winnable game at all. And they come out and they put up a first quarter like they did. I think their end of the first was 33-16. You're like, wow, that's first quarter. A lot of the shots were falling.
Yes.
I think in the second half, a lot of our guys came back down to earth a little bit, and their guys kind of regressed to the positive mean because they missed a ton of shots in the first half. We made a ton of shots the first half. And then, they slowly started chipping away. And then, even then you're like, I don't know. Like they kept continuing to make it a game. The Grizzlies, they kept continuing to make a shot. I think the one thing everybody's talking about today is Taylor Jenkins.
Yes.
And kind of the way he handled that game yesterday, or last night. Here's what I'll say about Taylor Jenkins. As you guys know, we are positive Taylor Jenkins fans on the show. However, we are po TJ. However, that doesn't mean he's above criticism. Okay. It is possible to understand that he has some weird shit go on sometimes and has weird lineups and just doesn't make sense sometimes, while also recognizing the fact that he's done a great job as a coach. Those two things can coexist. They really can. So let's take that energy into last night. Mistake.
Well, yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Keep going. No, you first. Like, I'm feeding off of you, man. It's like what he is doing with these guys compared to, say, what the dude Chauncey built, not Chauncey, who's Detroit paying? Why is his name slipping my mind? Their coach, the Pistons, oh my God, what's his name? Monty,
yeah.
Like
Monty said, no, I'm just kidding.
What TJ is doing with our young guys and our developmental guys compared to what Monty's doing with his young, it's just like, it's night and day, and it's really fucking impressive.
Yeah. That being said, it's impressive. 6-6 in January. It's impressive to literally, it's Jaren and the hustle out there, as we continue to say. The fact that you're even in the game last night tells you more about what TJ can do than the mistake he made. And the mistake he made was taking Jaren out. The mistake he always makes is taking Jaren out when he gets his fifth foul. There is no reason for you to foul out Jaren, because Jaren's going to foul out himself. Because guess what? Guess how many fouls Jaren finished with? 5. Guess how many challenges Taylor Jenkins finished with? 2. 1-1. Because there was a over and back call, which is clear as anybody could ever make it. I mean, as a winnable challenge. And this was late. This was in the second half. This is not 47 seconds into the game like Mike Brown does. This isn't a real pivotal point in the game. That's a possession. That's what you need. So Taylor Jenkins finished with 2 challenges, and Jaren finished with 5 fouls. That gets you nothing at the end of the game. That gets you nothing. He won the game. Jaren won the game. It was a 1-point game. 1 point. He came back in and it was 8 points.
Yeah, I was going to say it was what, 2 minutes and 48 seconds was when he took him out. As soon as it happened, I looked at.
It was more than that. I think it was like 3:55. It was almost 4 minutes. Yeah, it was almost 4 minutes because he was out for almost 2 minutes.
As soon as it happened, I was like, motherfucker, because it was like he's doing it. He's doing it again. It's like after all of that, he's going to sit him. And I looked at my lady and I said, look, I was like, you watch, he's going to put him, he's still got a foul to give, and he's going to put him back in with like a minute and a half left. You watch, and it won't matter then. And lo and behold, it's exactly what he did. At that point, it was too hard to do. It's just bullshit. It's not bullshit, but it's like, you sound like an old timer. You're like, let the boy play, but let him play.
The situation is that in those games, I don't expect them to be in the game, but when you are in the game, don't throw it away.
Yes.
When you have a position, you're in that position. The possessions are so like everything counts, right? The last 4 minutes, you're talking about in a game like that where you have barely enough offense to get over the line, everything counts. So what if he fouls out? It doesn't matter. You're going to get the same result either way. You're going to get a loss. So if he doesn't foul out, do you maybe get the win? Maybe you do, because you need every bit of his offense, because Jaren was literally doing everything last night. Dude played like 34 minutes and looked like he was played 48. Like he was gassed.
Yes.
Dude played every bit of, so I'm off the look, you can hate Taylor Jenkins you want, and rightly last night, rightly so. That was a mistake. Same reason on Sunday was a mistake when you ran that lineup out of Santi. I don't know, Santi, Gilliard, Tillman, whatever it was. It was a 10-0 run, and it was like 6 minutes. It was like, but at that point, it's too late. It was too late, because this team, as it stands, cannot overcome a 6-point deficit at this point, much less a 10-point deficit. There's just not enough firepower. There's not enough offense to generate. Not enough people. And those are, if you want to be mad at Taylor, if you want to be upset with him, be upset. Those things you're upset with, totally fine. Being upset because he didn't start Gigi Jackson is stupid as fuck. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like if you want to be mad because he makes those mistakes, be mad about it. Those are right. Those are weird decisions. Doesn't make sense. Starting GG Jackson doesn't matter at all. Because guess what? I wouldn't have started GG either. I would have left him exactly where he was coming off the bench. Because who's coming off the bench? Matt Hurt, Jacob Gilliard, and GG Jackson. So what, you're going to put David Roddy, Matt Hurt, and Jacob Gilliard together off the bench? I mean, come on. You got to have something.
You got to have something.
Man.
Got to have some offense off the bench.
I'm over like picking Taylor apart at this point. I mean, just because I'm in terms of like just the overall, like, are there some things very minutia like he did last night that was just very glaring? Yeah. And I'm all for it. If you want to bag on him for that, go ahead. Because he deserves it. He deserves a bit of that. But like who he starts in the lineups he plays at this point, I mean, I don't know how it's hard to really and that's why I didn't really say anything about the lineups on Sunday yesterday, because I was kind of mad about it, but at the same time, I was like, I don't know what you do sometimes. Like, what do you do? I don't know.
That's at this point, it's like, I don't know what you can ask from him. He's doing more than the best of what he has, honestly. And so it's like people complaining about that shit. It's like, just shut the hell up. Leave him alone. I don't think you can do any better.
As long as he plays Jaren and lets him foul out and doesn't play Zaire, like, I'm happy.
Yep.
I'm happy as a clam.
Yep.
I'm good. I'm good with that. Anything else is kind of like whatever. I mean, again, to even be in a game last night when you got Matt Hurt playing 23 minutes, who literally came from South Haven to play in the game
for after lunch,
and looked good.
Looked good.
Looked good.
Yeah.
What do you think about Matt Hurt?
Man, all that I don't keep up with the hustle as well as I should. I just kind of read what our boy Mike puts out and what he reports, and it looks like another dude. The fact that a dude from the hustle was able to drive up the road and get double-digit points in an NBA game and play, I mean, how many minutes he had? He had actual minutes.
24.
Like, I don't know anybody else that could do, like that's. Yeah. I don't know what else you can ask from a guy like that either at that point.
No, shot 3 for 6, 2 for 3 from 3. Picked his spots. I mean, I thought he was, in a situation where you got thrown into the game. I thought he played well in spots. Scottie Pippen Jr. looked okay at times. I think the team likes more about Scottie Pippen Jr. than Jacob Gilliard is his ability to get to the rim. His ability to get to the basket, and he's not afraid to try to do that as well. It's got clean. The size. Like, it's clean. Like, he draws fouls a lot. He was 4 for 7 for the line last night. He looks good too. I mean, I think that once we get back to maybe some semblance of a roster, I think that you probably see less Jacob Gilliard and more Scottie Pippen Jr. My assumption.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then speaking of GG Jackson, what did you think about GG Jackson last night?
It wasn't the best shooting night he's had, but he's still not hurting us, and the fact that he's still so young and still being like a net positive, not a net negative, not a neutral, like he's actually helping. And honestly, the fact that he's playing big minutes too, I'm pretty impressed with that. We still want to see, though we know the hustle's there, like pun intended. We know he can hustle. Like, I want to see it more, because I've seen it. There's flashes of it where the dude can get from end to end in like 2-3 seconds. He can, like, his strides are so long, he can do it, but we're not seeing it all the time yet. That'll come hopefully, but
I thought his individual defense was great. His on-ball defense was really good. I thought his, kind of team defense and rotations can really use a lot of work. I think that's where he really gets caught. And that's, to be clear, that's a lot of young players. That's kind of the hardest thing to learn in the NBA is rotations and team defense. You can be really good on individual on the ball defense, but once you start asking people to start rotating and things like that, it can be really tough. I think that really needs a lot of work. But the offense is there. The shot looks good. Some shots just didn't fall last night. I think you're also asking a kid to take a lot of threes because you just don't have a lot of offense. So, at the end of the day, at the end of the game, for that, at the end of the game last night, to really close it out, one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league made a couple 3-point shots.
Yes.
Like, that is the reality of it. And then guess what? They missed a lot in the first quarter. So, it's hard to like come on here and say they did a bad job or whatever, other than a little Jaren mishap, which maybe that cost in the game. Maybe we don't know. Like, right. Maybe if he says in the game, maybe they sold those threes and it doesn't matter. Right.
They might still catch fire in the last 2 minutes. Like,
yeah, that is the reality of it is that the best 3-point shooting team in the league hit threes last night at the end of the game when it counts.
Yep.
And we couldn't stop them. And so it is what it is. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. We'll talk about the Grizzlies new signees that they had earlier this morning. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we will talk Pistons in the last segment.
Not just the level of individual talent that he plays with, but it's also the level of his mind. We haven't gotten cross-court open shot this year. Right. We haven't seen that pass a lot. Number one, you got to respect him going to the basket. There's a roller. I got to watch the roller. He has the mind to be able to say, I see all of that, but now I see this guy over here. I'm going to get him this open shot. How shifty he is to always be going forward. It's usually side to side.
Yeah.
His dribble moves are side to side, but going forward.
Right.
Which is very hard to defend. I just want to get you, as many times can I get you to do this? But for him, it's not here. It is here, which is what are his moves to get down the floor. It's awkward for a defender to try to catch a cadence. You dribble. So now what I do is now when you go put that ball down, I'm going for it. But with him, it's hard for my cadence. But what's my cadence for you? I don't know what it is.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Who do you need to step it up? Outside of David Jones, I think David Jones is David Jones.
I don't think you need him to step it up because he's been performing.
Yeah, like he's David Jones. Like outside of him, he's fine.
I think Quinterly needs to play better.
In what way? Like, I mean, he's facilitating the ball well. I mean, what do you like? I don't.
2 at 12 from the field's not cutting it.
It's not great. It's not great.
And I don't need a runner 3 from the top of the key with 3.5 seconds left.
Is Virginia the game where Jordan Brown is going to cook? Those dudes aren't looking to run the ball.
Cook what? Dude, I thought he was going to have a freaking night. He came out with that fresh cut, lined up, and then literally within the first 15 seconds missed a wide open layup. And then picked up 2 fouls right away.
I feel real lied to because I thought we were getting a 20 and 10 guy.
Didn't think it did anything for you.
Well,
I think we all thought we were getting a 20 and 10 guy. And we are getting that in David Jones.
I'm not even getting 20 or 10 minutes out of the guy.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Daily Grind, where we talk about the Grizzlies every single day right here on Bluff City Media YouTube page, as well as all of other social channels. If you've not subscribed to the Bluff City Media YouTube page, stop right now what you're doing. Go do that for us. We appreciate it. It really helps us out. We got shows for everybody. I promise you'll find one that you like. And we appreciate you guys sticking around and watching the show. We're here every day at 1 o'clock. You can join lunch with us. We changed the times from 9 a.m. If you're used to that, couldn't find us now you're surprised. That's because we changed the times. There's my dog. You see her back there?
Oh, puppy.
See her? There she is on the other side.
Oh, you're beautiful.
Yeah, she is pretty. She's a very needy dog, so she was like usually sitting right here and needs a pet all the time. But I digress. Let's not enough about my dog, and let's talk about these Grizzlies.
Before we talk about them, did you see where they just reported what the salary cap will be next year?
I have not. I did not see that just now.
It was like 4 minutes ago. 141 million looks like.
Wow, that's quite the jump.
Yeah.
That is quite the jump.
Right. Okay. I knew it was going to be a lot.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot. I'll have to look at that if we get done with this show. We'll talk about that. We need to talk about that on one.
We'll do that tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow.
That's going to be serious. That's going to do a lot for what the Grizzlies can do this summer because they have a lot of salary cap implications with Desmond Bane and then obviously in a couple of years with Jaren Jackson Jr. as well. Yep. The Grizzlies signed 3 new players. They were granted 3 hardship waivers. We talked about this on the show several times. Yep. Hardship exceptions. They were granted. Apparently, they've had these for at least last Saturday.
And they just weren't using them.
They just weren't using them. From what I understand, they've had them since at least Saturday or maybe even Friday. But they just hadn't been reported that they had been accepted. So they used it to sign Trey Jameson, which we talked about on the show before.
Yeah.
Obviously, Matt Hurt, who's already played. And the last person, I'm not even going to try to say his name.
Can I try
give it a shot? Give it a shot because I don't want to mess it up. You don't care.
No, Tosan Ivobawan.
That's actually pretty good. Tosan Ivobawan.
Oh, I left that M out. I left that second M out.
I will be curious to understand exactly how he says his name so that we don't mess that up in the future. So those guys, look, I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about Tosan. We obviously seen Matt Hurt play. We've actually had done a show on Trey Jameson, so we have seen a little bit of him as well. A 6'10" guy who can rebound the shit out of the ball. I would expect to see Trey Jameson probably get more run than either of those other two guys. If I'm guessing, him and Matt Hurt probably 1 and 2, 1A, 1B. Yeah. I'm not sure if Tosan gets a lot of run, but
I tell you what, if he does, I think that signals bye-bye Zaire. They're built very similarly. You know, they're kind of like he's what, 6'8", 215, you know, like kind of long rangy guys. Like if we see him over Zaire, adios.
Well, I mean, I think Gigi Jackson is packed Zaire's bags for him, to be honest with you.
That's true. He was like,
I don't know if we need anybody else to start doing the packing, but I think Gigi Jackson's done all the packing for him. Look, these guys are probably going to get some play here and there. It's a good situation for them, the Grizzlies, to utilize the last remaining, half of the season to figure out what they have in some of these guys, but they don't have. The only thing I'll say about this, just a technical thing, is they can sign these guys as many 10 days as they have the exception. So normally you'll get 2 consecutive 10-day contracts and the team has to either sign you or cut you. They can't do more than 2 consecutive 10-day contracts. This is different because it's a hardship exception.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
They do 2 consecutive 10-day contracts normally. But like we saw, like the Wizards had a 10-day contract, but that with Trey Jameson that just ended. That was just in the regular 10-day contract you can sign as an NBA team. With these, since they're part of the hardship exception, they can sign as many as they want, as many as they have the hardship exception for. So as long as those players are still hurt and the hardship exception still exists, they can continue to sign the 10-day contracts over and over again. Like they could
at least till probably the All-Star break, most likely, till we get some guys back.
Yeah. Now, once you get guys back, then that 10-day contract, and they have to basically exit the club immediately. They don't get to play out the contract, anything like that. It is voided basically immediately once that player comes back. Well, I said to bring a player back. So you might do some strategery, like if you're the Grizzlies, like if you have Desmond Bane hurt and you want to keep him, you sit, play out the rest of Trey Jameson's contract, you would have to, like, maybe he's still hurt for another 3 days or whatever, 4 days, whatever that might be. There's some gamemanship there. It doesn't matter who they relieve or things. That could be anybody. They would just have to get rid of somebody if they want to bring another player back from injury. So that's just a technical thing of how it works. So they can sign as many as they want, as long as they have the exception. They can do it. I think the record is like 5 10-day contracts.
Oh, really?
Almost 2 months.
I say we go for it.
They got a shot.
Let's go for it, baby.
Yeah. So, all right, let's take another quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to dig through the Pistons roster and see what we might want from that team.
I'm just big on being able to vocalize what someone's role is. I always thought my best coaches were the people that let me know exactly what you expect from me. Now, I might not like it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. But if you come to me man to man to say, this is how we think we're gonna play you. Bang, 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 and hopefully everybody understand. I'm not saying that this has not been done with this team. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying from my experience, we all have egos when we get to this game. Right. All of us, to the last person on the bench, you got an ego, but all of us can't be the man. Yeah, you got to be able to say, okay, he's the man, but what do I do and what can I do to help us be good? And if it's vocalized to you, then you know exactly what. And if I'm out there doing it, and now I'm not getting the result from you, now we got to sit down and have another conversation. Mm-hmm. But as long as it is told to you, this is what we expect from you, this is how we want you to play, then I feel like, again, keeping this logo. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. All right, Christian.
Yes.
You are Penny Hardaway.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Today. you're going to play act. Okay. Gabe, because you're a Jordan Brown apologist, you're going to be Jordan Brown.
I'm a Jordan Brown apologist. Okay.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Y'all are sitting across the room from each other.
I said, don't tweet him hate. And he's like, you're an apologist. Like, good God. But either way, continue. We're in a room together.
Why did things break down?
Jordan, we brought you in this year to be the centerpiece of our offense. You came in out of shape. Let's call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. We play fast. Told you this when we were recruiting you. We play fast. One of the fastest paces in the country. You have to be able to get up and down the floor. You have failed at that.
Oh, well, I'm leaving. So it's fine. Cool.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Daily Grind, talking Grizzlies every single day right here at 1 o'clock. Our last segment of the show, like we're going to do every single day up until the trade deadline, it's going to be a trade of some sort, or possibly looking at a team which we think might be good trade partners, or maybe your reported sellers. And that today is the Detroit Pistons. They are reported sellers. They are the worst team in the league. I think
They're really bad.
They're really bad. They're
really
6
bad.
and 40, man. They're 6 and 40.
I always joke with my buddies that anytime I joke about basketball, I'm like, you try to tell me that I couldn't be a backup 2 guard for the Detroit Pistons right now? Because that's how bad they're playing.
What are you looking for from the Detroit Pistons? Realistically, what do you think they're going to give up? What are you looking for the Detroit Pistons?
So look at that dog. So
that's my other dog.
I was like, did it change colors? I was so confused. I was like,
whoa. We have 2. There's a that one and the other one.
Dope.
Sorry.
No. So obviously the white whale, and I'm going to shout out Nate Qualls. I feel like he's been the little birdie in my ear, in the ear of a lot of, at least for me, for at least a season now. Bojangles Bogdanovich. That's what he calls him. Like that to me, but I would love to have him, but I think everybody would love to have him. I think he's going to be the target of so many other teams, like so many other teams that are in actual contention this year. I do think we're shipping out Luke to get him probably. I would imagine. I mean, I don't know how to, because he's making a lot of money. He's their highest paid contract, but they don't have, I don't have it in front of me, but I did an article earlier this season. They don't have that much money. They have a lot of money. Like they got a lot of cap room, but they also have like 6 bigs on the roster for some fucking reason, which is just asinine. And like, some of them I would like I really like Isaiah Stewart, but his contract's a lot. I don't know. That's another guy, like how much, because he's his extension kicks in next year, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, I feel like if you try to get him, you're letting go of Brandon Clark. Like I just feel like there's going to be a lot of moving pieces for any of the pieces that you go out to get from Detroit.
Yeah. I mean, I think, do you care that Bojan Bogdanovich is 34?
So, I do care. Which granted, maybe he makes more sense in my mind. That's a trade you're making for next year. That's a trade where you're planning on the pieces falling into place and next year going for the chip. Like I don't know. That's why I think teams that actually, God, I can't believe it. Teams that stand a realistic mathematical shot of winning the championship this year, I think will make a bigger play for him. Because he brings a lot. He's what a lot of teams need. He's what if Philadelphia could get him or some shit like that. Like him on a lot of these teams is a really good fit. He fits on so many teams. His age, I think he would have been perfect for the Grizzlies last year, but hindsight's 2020. I don't know what. It's tough with him. I love Isaiah Stewart. I think Isaiah Stewart screams Memphis. I think he's got Memphis written all over him, like the type of player he is. It's just the contract's a little bit of a bummer. But with the salary cap going up, who knows?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, in the sense of and Bogdanovich, you're giving up Luke Kennard for sure.
Yes. Yeah, you have to.
because that he's going to play that role, right?
Yes.
That kind of shooter's role anyway. I'm not really worried about the money. I think if you're giving up 15 million, you're taking back 20 million. You can use some of that part of that. You could use a trade exception to go back. I also don't think you don't necessarily have to give up Luke, but you got to give up something obviously of significant value because the contract is so high.
Yes.
And Luke just makes sense. But the Pistons are a team that they don't care about position. Like they're not they're not a team who's like, if I'm giving up a center, I really need rebounding back, right? A lot of these teams you're dealing with sometimes especially if they're remotely competing or maybe they're rebuilding this 1 year, retooling, if you will, they're going to want something in return that kind of fits what they're losing, right? They want something back or a way to get that back, right? Whether that's draft pick or whatever. The Pistons, they're just like, look, we're just trying to collect assets, and that's how bad they are.
Yes.
So you wouldn't have necessarily give up Luke, but that would just make sense for the Grizzlies to give up Luke. Obviously you're giving up more than just Luke. It costs you at least probably a first and a half.
And your Zaire is probably attached onto that too, just to get him out of there.
You could throw Zaire in there just salary filler as well. And see if you can't get him out. And to be clear, any trade I do, I'm going to try to hey, do you also want
you want Zaire?
This guy back here?
I know nobody was interested in that draft in him, but
he can't really dribble. He can't shoot. He dribbles off he can't really jump, or he used to could.
He's got zero confidence.
But he's young and he's on a good deal.
But he's young.
Maybe you could take that. Anybody I call, I'm like, hey, could you please take Zaire Williams, please? For nothing. Isaiah Stewart would be the one I would be the most interested in. I think it's the most gettable as well. Only because, like you said, they have a plethora of other of bigs on the roster. They got Jalen Duren, who they are not giving up Jalen Duren to save their life. And I wish they were, because I would love him. But those guys I think you're going to get to a point where you can't play those two together, right? If you look,
they got James Wiseman too.
They also James Wiseman. I think James Wiseman is probably the most is the guy that moved more first than anybody else. Than even Isaiah Stewart. But Isaiah Stewart, if you're getting that guy, like you mentioned, like we talked about yesterday with Clint Capella, if you're getting someone like that for the future, that means you're moving off of Steven Adams. That's what that means. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not getting Isaiah Stewart and keeping Steven Adams, because that means that you don't believe in a healthy Steven Adams coming back is what you've decided, which is fine, because I'm not sure I do either. So the money really doesn't matter to me in this situation, 15 million. In fact, I like his contract, because if you're giving up
contract,
if you're giving up, especially giving up Steven Adams to get him, you're giving out, if you're able to give out a little bit more money, or, I won't get into the CBA. There's a percentage of what the salary has to match. It's like within 20% or something like that of the salary. And so if you're giving up, someone like Steven Adams and you're taking back, Isaiah Stewart, I would be fine with that, because you guys, that would mean you would have Isaiah Stewart this year, extension would kick in next year, and you'd have him for the next 3 years with a team option of 15 million, which is a really good deal, especially now with the cap. That's a good number.
And
15 million a year.
Yes. And it's important to note too, if you're sending out Adams, you're getting in return a guy like a lot of people are saying, you got to get some. Steven Adams is the guy that's going to step in and not let people fuck with Ja. Isaiah Stewart will step in and not let people fuck with Ja, dude. That dude, I fell in love with him the moment he went after LeBron James and trying to kill LeBron. I was like, holy shit, this guy's awesome. That's good, important.
And even if you give up Brandon Clark, I think I'd be okay with that. If you're getting someone like that in return. But I don't see a situation where you'd have to give up both. You're not giving up Steven Adams and Brandon Clark. So if they could figure out a way to send out Steven Adams for Isaiah Stewart and attach a pick to it, I would do that, tomorrow. I'll drive Steven Adams up to Detroit myself again. But just like we talked about yesterday, I don't care. I'll do it. I will take one for the team. I don't mind. We'll bring snacks and everything. Man, the whole thing. It'll be awkward goodbye, but and I'll pick up Isaiah Stewart and bring him home. But yeah, I think that's a good deal. I mean, I don't know if Detroit does that. Obviously they it's a rookie scale deal, and again, the contract's a good deal. The only thing I would think the reason they would do that is because they have Jalen Duren and they maybe see some redundancy there on some of their bigs, where if they could go out and say, hey, let's get some more assets for something we already have, then let's go do that. And while Steven Adams might not necessarily be, I think Steven Adams might be a guy that they could feel like they could probably flip to someone else. You know, they feel like they're just a, you know, maybe they flip in the summer for another pick or something, or maybe even the start. You know, maybe once people see they're healthy the next year, maybe they could flip in for another pick as well. But I think you definitely got to send a pick for it, at least one, and maybe two.
I think you're right. You're. Well, I guess it would depend on who you're sending. Like if you're sending Steve-O, probably two. If you're sending Brandon Clark, maybe just one. You know, I don't know. I think that the player would matter. I think
the player 100% matters. If it's Steve-O, you're probably going two, maybe with a first round pick, maybe this year, and then a protected next year, maybe top 20 protected and something like that, maybe top 10. And then if you're sending up Brandon Clark, maybe it's just one. Maybe it's just this year's pick. So either way, I think those are probably the only guys I would realistically think you could probably get off the Grizzlies or off the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, the other people I want, they're not gettable. You know, it's like we said, Jalen Duren and Jordan Ivey. I'd kill for those guys, but they're not getting rid of it. And I like the Thompson kid, but those dudes aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, I saw Thompson, Jaden Ivey. I mean, those are just really, really good players on fantastic rookie deals. They're just they're not moving off of them. It's
not going nowhere.
So we're not going to entertain the conversation because it's not something that's going to happen. But those other two guys, I think it's definitely something that I could see it happening. Realistically, probably not, but I could definitely see why both teams would do that. So
and it really depends on, like we said, how you want to say, how it sounds rude, how bad Detroit wants to be. You know, they're already in like bad mode, but how bad? How do they want to win another game? You know, like I don't know.
I mean, I don't think that really matters. I mean, they're going to be bad no matter what. They're as bad as they are right now. I don't think anybody's catching them from the other way around, like the bottom standings. I don't think anybody's as bad as they are. I mean, I just don't think it's possible at this point.
It'd be really hard mathematically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the amount of games left, I don't think it's possible. So I don't know if that really matters to them that much. I think what matters to them more is let's collect assets now. Like if we obviously need more. We need different. We need different players, different coach. We need different. And they need to collect assets to get those different things. And whether those assets help you in the draft or help you go out and get a free agent or in a trade or whatever that is, that they need different. They need different because right now they have a lot of individually good pieces. They're just not working. So
yeah, it's a good way to put it. I mean, the puzzle ain't clicking.
Yeah. That's going to be it for our show today. We appreciate you guys joining in. Join in tomorrow. We will be back at 1:00 tomorrow with another show. We'll be talking about lots of different stuff. We'll probably try to get a salary cap, a little bit of salary cap primer to kind of give you guys what that might look like for the Grizzlies as well. So we'll take a look at that on our off time and come back with that tomorrow as well. We will see you then.